it's very common for businesses that do fail. Several of them their bookkeeping is always a mess. Hey everybody, how you doing? Michael Reeder, CPA here, managing shareholder of Swartz and Reeder Advisors, and we finally have a YouTube channel, everyone. It's been a long time making, but we finally have a YouTube channel, and I'm so excited. And we are going to be producing content regularly. So make sure that you click that subscribe button below and get ready for some great content. It's kind of hard to make accounting and tax fun, but I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to be providing. I'm committed to providing maximum value to you all here, whether it is a solo episode with just me or I have guests on, like my team member Jeet Chaudhary today. I look forward to providing massive amounts of value to you all out there. So so Swartz and Reeder Advisors, if you don't know who we are a CPA firm. We are a CPA firm, and we have a niche as a CPA firm in the franchise industry and working with business buyers. We are a CPA firm for small businesses and individuals, and we provide both compliance services and advisory services to clients. We're really a virtual CPA firm. We're located in the greater Chicago area physically, but we have clients all across the country. And let's be honest, ever since COVID hit, the world has really become virtual more and more. I think we were already going there, but COVID just accelerated it. So that's who we are. And I look forward to getting to know you all. Please reach out. Contact information is going to be here. So I'm excited. So CPA firm, right? Certified public accountant, accounting, right? Like, who's excited other than me, right? So one of the most common things that that we coach our clients on is getting their bookkeeping set up. And so bookkeeping is something that, regardless of what industry you're in, bookkeeping is a vital part of your business. And it's something that so many small business owners don't take seriously. And it's one of those things that's fascinating because, there are so many businesses that fail. So many businesses fail. And this isn't the only reason, but one of the common denominators amongst businesses that fail is that several of them never take the bookkeeping system for their business seriously. For so many business owners, bookkeeping is this thing that just you have to get done like ASAP because you have to file last year's taxes, and it's never it's never used for what it should be, which is a tool that lets you always know where your numbers are, and to not only have a tax planning conversation with your CPA, but also to have a CFO conversation with your CFO. Like, taxes is one thing, but what about cash flow and profitability? What about what are we going to do to increase revenue? What are we going to do to decrease cost? What are we going to do to develop more recurring revenue? What are we going to do to make acquisitions, et cetera? And then when you want to sell your business, any buyer is going to want to look at your financial statements. And if you never take bookkeeping seriously, then you're always bumbling and stumbling. About, and you can't really have a substantive conversation, whether it's in the context of tax planning or cash flow or profitability, et cetera. And so, it's very common for businesses that do fail. Several of them their bookkeeping is always a mess. It's always 6 to 12 months behind. As I like to say, people like to trip over dollars to save nickels. They don't want to pay a bookkeeper. They don't want to pay an accountant. They're trying to figure it out themselves, but they're wearing 5 hats or 10 hats in their business. They have a family, and the bookkeeping is just never getting updated. With all that being said, one of the common denominators of successful businesses is that they get the bookkeeping right on day one. If not on day one, then on like day 2, right? Like, bookkeeping. Again, there are other reasons that play a role in the success of a business, but businesses that go on to scale, that go on to become profitable, that go on, that owners have a successful exit. I guarantee you, those business owners are not scrambling with the bookkeeping. They're not scrambling with the bookkeeping. And so, I always do my best to really just grill in my clients' brains on day one. I work with a lot of clients that are starting business from scratch because they are new business owners. They just bought a franchise business and they're starting at zero and they're ramping up their business. And so on day one, I'm meeting a lot of these clients when they are starting at zero and they've never been, and several of them have never been in business before. And I'm getting connected to them from my nationwide network of franchise professionals. And so, that is a perfect, opportunity to, get in the right mindset as a business owner at that early stage. And so I always make sure to tell my clients the importance of getting their bookkeeping right on day one. And so, me and my team, one of the services that we provide at Swartz and Reeder Advisors is bookkeeping training / consultation / optimization. And so whoever's doing the onboard, then there's ongoing bookkeeping, right? And so whoever's going to do the ongoing bookkeeping, whether it's, the client or his or her spouse or one of their internal employees or a virtual assistant or our firm, whoever's going to do the ongoing bookkeeping, that's secondary. The primary is, okay, before we talk about who's going to do the ongoing bookkeeping, let's get the bookkeeping set up first. Let's set up the bookkeeping system, right? Like we at Swartz and Reeder Advisors, we're big fans of QuickBooks Online, but there are other platforms out there like Xero and Back Office, but we're big fans of QuickBooks Online, cloud-based, and so we really make sure that our clients on day one work with us to first get their bookkeeping set up and optimized, and then give them a crash course on the fundamentals of bookkeeping. And then once that's been established, then we can talk about, okay, who's going to do the ongoing bookkeeping? Is it going to be you, Mr. or Mrs. Client, or is it going to be us? And so my team member that's here with me today, Jeet Chaudhary. How you doing, Jeet?
Yeah, I'm doing great, Mike. Thank you for the introduction.
Awesome. My pleasure. Thank you for being here. You look great as usual. I love the background. You got the Buddha there, making you just like feel relaxed. So Just like seeing the Buddha there makes me feel relaxed. So thank you for that. But Jeet, everyone, for all of y'all that don't know who Jeet is, Jeet Chaudhary is on Team Swartz and Reeder Advisors. He's awesome. He's the best. He runs our bookkeeping division of our firm. And so Jeet is the main guy on our team who is working with clients to get their bookkeeping system set up, from the get-go and optimizing in the context of automation and technology and giving clients, a crash course on all things bookkeeping. And so, what Jeet does with a lot of our clients once they're in business is he works with them to, schedule could be, we always say budget 2 to 3 hours. Say 2 to 3 hours, whether it's less or whether it's more, 2 to 3 hours with Jeet. And what we're going to do is we're going to set up your business's chart of accounts on QuickBooks, okay? And then we're going to make sure that everything is synchronized, right? So one of the great things about QuickBooks Online is that it's cloud-based and it talks with a lot of other softwares out there. It synchronizes with banks and payroll processing platforms and credit cards. So when we say optimize the bookkeeping in the context of automation and technology, we're talking about, after we get the chart of accounts set up, let's set up the bank accounts. Let's synchronize the bank account with the QuickBooks Online. Let's synchronize the credit card account with the QuickBooks Online. Let's synchronize the payroll processing platform with the QuickBooks Online. And then that way that there's going to be more, transactions are going to feed into the booking. It's going to streamline the bookkeeping in the context of automation and technology. And as we always tell people, whoever's doing the day-to-day bookkeeping, we want the process to be optimized in the context of, we want the bookkeeping system to be optimized in the context of automation and technology as much as possible, because then whoever the human being is that's doing the ongoing bookkeeping, they are spending as little time as possible each month, right? Hint, less time means less money, right? Everyone loves that, right? Less money, I know everyone loves that. Less time equals more money, less time equals less money, but less time, the human being is doing less time doing the bookkeeping each month, but we're still delivering a highly accurate set of books. And so it's so important. It's so important to get your bookkeeping set up on day one. And so Jeet, what are like some, like, if you want to jump in, like what are some of the, common things that you talk about with clients on these QuickBooks Online training sessions?
Yeah, sure. So, before jumping into, this whole bookkeeping process optimization, I would like to just introduce myself that, this is Hey Viewers. This is Jeet Chaudhary, and I run, the bookkeeping department for Swartz and Reeder. And moreover, my day-to-day task is to basically, onboard new clients and, help them optimize the whole process, that is again the bookkeeping process. And again, Mike is into, this franchise consultant, and we are getting new clients like every day we are getting new clients. And yes, those are new business owners, so they are again unsure about how do we set up the chart of accounts, and how do we like basically add even a single transaction. So my role is to just jump online with those new clients, and I just help them to set up the chart of accounts. And yes, give them a crash course on how to do the invoicing, and maintain AR AP, setting up new chart of accounts, adding vendors, and yes, all different aspect of bookkeeping, monthly reconciliation. So yeah, it's a big list, but yes, we make sure that we sum it up into like a 2 or 3 hour consultation calls. And yes, our clients are jumping in these calls like every day, and yeah, I love to do this every day. And again, Mike is the one, moreover, our mentor. And yes, it's helping us a lot. Yes.
Awesome. Well, Jeet, thank you for that, brother. Do you find that a lot of the clients, when they first get on that Zoom with you, that they have anxiety and they're nervous and they're stressed out about this because they feel like they're in over their head? A lot of these people they're leaving their corporate job, and now they're first time business owners, and they're self-employed now for the first time. And while the Internal Revenue Code of the IRS it's beneficial for the self-employed taxpayer out there, there's a lot of compliance that comes along with it, a lot of responsibility with compliance, like maintaining your company's books and having accurate books and not commingling, and because the burden is on the taxpayer to substantiate expenses. And if you don't have a bookkeeping system, then things can get pretty hectic, especially if you ever get audited by the IRS. So do you feel that clients, like not all of them, but like several of them, come into those QuickBooks Online? And when we say so people, QBO, right? QBO, right? Is an acronym for QuickBooks Online. So it's just easier to say QBO. So that's what we mean when we say QBO, QuickBooks Online. Do you feel, G, when people get on these QBO consultation calls with you, these consultation Zooms, and you share screens, etc., that like there's like anxiety and confusion at the beginning, but then once you walk them through everything and hold their hand and simplify these complex matters for them, and bookkeeping is bookkeeping, but and it is simple, but but it's easier said than done for the average person out there. And so, do you feel, Jeet, that these QBO consultation Zooms achieve the goal, like that they result in these that several of these clients ending the Zooms feeling much more confident and relaxed in all things bookkeeping, and it's one less thing that they can worry about as they're in this early stage of their business?
Yep. So I would say that the number one business rule is to get our crux right, get the basics right. And when we get onto these Zoom like these Zoom calls and this QBO consultation call, so we help them set up the basics. That's where the whole chart of accounts, and again, which we mentioned about that, the basics. Once the basics are right, then they can get on to the ongoing bookkeeping. And so before things go haywire, the best point to connect with us. And like, again, Swartz and Reeder, that we get the basics right, and then you do the ongoing bookkeeping. So like moving down the line, you don't see everything going here and there. So that's the solution, I guess.
Yeah, and then speaking of that, Jeet, like let's lean into that. You've seen those clients that that try to do everything themselves, and there are clients that understand bookkeeping. Like let's put that out there. Not everyone, like there are people that and a lot of these people are CFOs or controllers in corporate, and they come here, they have or they've owned businesses. So this is not, we're not painting everyone with the broad brushstroke, but there is a lot. There are a lot of people that have zero experience with bookkeeping, and they try to DIY it, and I'm all for people DIYing. Like we give a lot of valuable advisory to people where we encourage DIY in certain aspects, but you've seen it, Jeet, right? Where the client, because they're trying to save a couple dollars, they're going to do it. And let's talk about cost, right? Like cost, and everyone, I'm drinking pure espresso right here with no cream or sugar, so that I usually have high energy, but I'm really high energy right now because I have my espresso. So, and I normally talk fast. I'm from Chicago, but we've seen these clients try to, they try and I understand where they're coming from. But time is money too, right? Like their time is money, and that's we try to explain it. Like what's more valuable, like the dollar or the time? I'll speak for myself. Time is more valuable than anything on this planet. Like time is the most, like if we can make it to 100 years, like what's more important, 100 years or $100, and so, but so many clients try to do this stuff on their own. And then it comes time to, have a conversation about, profitability and cash flow. It comes time to have a conversation about preparing last year's taxes, or to have a tax planning conversation. And the books are just a mess. And Jeet's time, and Jeet and the rest of our team, because Jeet runs our bookkeeping division. So, we've got a team underneath Jeet, not underneath, but like a team that works on Team Jeet, that, Jeet has, because Jeet's only one person, I'm only one person, right? So we've got like our team over at Swartz and Reeder, our bookkeeping team, led by Jeet, we'll get some of these accounts sometimes and be like, OMG, Mike, this is a mess. Like we have to just start over, So, and it ends up taking more time to clean that up, right, Jeet, as opposed to like the 2 or 3 hours at the beginning, like you said, just to like before everything goes haywire. You've seen those haywire case studies, and it's a lot of work, and it ends up costing them more money. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, definitely. And like people are trying to save initially like few dollars, but end up paying more when they're actually going for like tax preparation services, or moreover the kind of advisory services which we provide, that the CFO services or tax planning services. And the bookkeeping is again an important part when you are going for any kind of advisory services. But yes, we see like a lot of messy books, but can't help it. I mean, we just go in and just do the cleanup work.
Right, absolutely. And I have empathy for people. Small business owners are wearing multiple hats. They're especially during ramp up phase, when they don't have enough capital to hire like a general manager, to hire a CFO, or to hire a sales director. The owner, the entrepreneur, him or herself, is like doing everything, especially for the first like 1 or 2 years. Very commonly that's the case. And so they're doing, and many people have families too. So I get it, like they wake up at 5 a.m, they're doing everything, they're going pedal to the metal all day, all night, and then they got to find time to eat, they got to find time to sleep, they got to find time to spend time with their kids and their spouse, they got to find time, and so I understand how it's common for the bookkeeping to kind of like fall on the back burner. But getting back to what we were saying at the beginning, like one of the common characteristics of businesses that fail is the bookkeeping is always a mess. It's not the only kind, and one of the common characteristics of businesses that scale and thrive and are successful and are profitable and get acquired and blah 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 blah, the bookkeeping is airtight. And so we having a good bookkeeping system is not going to guarantee the success of anyone being a business owner, but believe me, it plays a vital role in increasing their chance of being successful. And so, and we're a CPA firm, we're accountants, it's on us, the CPA is commonly the most trusted advisor of the business owner. I am the trust, and I take that very seriously. I am a trusted advisor to hundreds of clients, and so I always give advice. Like I'm giving advice. I own multiple businesses, everyone, and I only give advice that I would give to myself. And so there's nothing. And so so we ought, as a CPA firm, we ought to be, stressing to clients the importance of bookkeeping, from day one, and that's what we do. And so bookkeeping, right? So there's data entry, right? And so what goes into data entry, Jeet? Like manual data entry, right? But then when you synchronize your QBO to get it optimized in the context of automation and technology, then all of the data entry, right, is feeding into the QuickBooks Online from the bank account, the credit card account. If the client has a POS system, all of their billing information is getting feeded into and that's what's great about QBO, that it talks to so many different softwares out there. There's so many different CRMs and POS systems, and QBO really talks to all of them. But is there anything else that goes into the data? Like I want to break down everything that goes into bookkeeping, because there's a difference between bookkeeping and data entry. And so many people think data entry is bookkeeping, but it's only one component of of bookkeeping. Is there anything else in like the data entry piece of bookkeeping, Jeet, that you want to touch on?
Yeah, I guess I have one point on that. So when we see clients managing their own books and they doing the specific the data entry, so they tend to, like, for example, there is one vendor, right, and there are multiple expenses across the year, but that does not mean that that particular expense would go to the assigned expense account. So maybe that could be the case, like one vendor but multiple expense account. But what we have observed that when people are doing just data entry, that like they're stashing everything like from one vendor, any kind of expenses goes to the single account, but they are not checking the receipts, or moreover what they're not trying to understand the kind of expense that is, and not able to categorize it correctly. So yes, that's the difference between, I would say, data entry and the bookkeeping.
Right, exactly. And how many times do you see just like the Ask My Accountant account like filled up with like a million things, right?
Can't help it.
One of the things that I learned from one of my mentors in the accounting industry, on day one when I started back in 2010. I'm 35 years old, everyone. But by the way, I now owned a CPA firm that hired me out of college. Humble brag right there. There's no such thing as a miscellaneous expense. There's no such thing as a miscellaneous expense. Everything has its category. And so, Ask My Accountant is like, another terminology for miscellaneous. It's pretty much like the slush, like the slush account where you just kind of put everything where you don't know where else to put it. There's always something. There's no such thing as miscellaneous expense. Everything has its own category. And so, part of data entry, is making sure that it's optimized and making sure that everything is flowing in automated, because everything is synced with the applicable bank account, credit card account, billing program, et cetera. And you're reducing double data entry by doing that. For example, if you're entering invoices in the billing system, you can synchronize the billing system to QBO, and then all those invoices will feed into QBO. You don't have to enter them in again. So bookkeeping is one aspect of data entry is one aspect of bookkeeping. Right now, there's reconciling is another aspect of bookkeeping. Jeet, why don't you enlighten us? Like people throw around terms like reconcile. What does reconcile mean in the context of bookkeeping?
So there are for example, there are multiple accounts, like multiple checking accounts, and they have saving account synced in with the QBO and even the credit card accounts. That so at times people don't reconcile their books, and they might be missing few entries. So what we suggest our clients that on monthly basis, please reconcile your books. So that is, you're trying to reconcile your bank statements with the QBO account. So just need to make sure that, okay, everything is synced in, from the bank account into your QBO. Yeah.
Absolutely. And you can reconcile bank accounts and you reconcile credit card accounts, and you want to make sure that and the reconciling component of bookkeeping is like the spell check. Like the data entry is like writing the rough draft, and then the reconciling is like the spell check and the editing, just to make sure that everything ties out. And if there's any, and if you ever see like sometimes you may, like not sometimes, oftentimes you'll see that the cash balance on the books is different than the cash balance on the bank statement, because you may have checks that have been entered but haven't cleared the account yet, or you have deposits that have been entered on the books but they haven't been deposited to the bank account. And so the bank and or credit card reconciliation is an exercise in making sure that everything that is on the books ties out to the bank. And it's a vital component in making sure that your bookkeeping system is accurate. All right, so there's bookkeeping, right? Data entry goes into it, reconciling goes into it. What about invoicing and AR? Invoicing and AR, like to the the soon to be new business owner out there, Jeet, like how do you explain? And these are and people like if you're listening to this, like, what are these guys talking about? Like, this is basic stuff. Like, we're doing that on purpose, because not everyone is as smart as you, and we love you still, but not everyone is as smart as you. We want to explain this stuff to, like, we want to break this down and get granular and get simple with it, and just to really, simplify it to be anyone out there that, because there are people that, get overwhelmed with this kind of stuff. So I'm a new business owner, Jeet, and I'm working with you to get my QuickBooks set up, and accounts receivable and invoicing. What the heck is that?
So, again, QBO provides this leverage of, setting up invoices, sending it to your, clients. So that's again a good option. So, when we talk about AR, so,
What's
setting
the
up.
What's the relationship between AR and revenue? AR and revenue.
So accounts receivable is again, that's what your business have, like, depending about from the customers, and revenue is again, which is again, we have recorded that AR amount into the revenue, but we are still waiting for the customer to pay us.
Exactly. So revenue. So and G and I, everyone, we talk about this all the time. The purest form of bookkeeping is the accrual basis of bookkeeping. The purest form of bookkeeping is the accrual basis of bookkeeping. What does accrual mean? Accrual means that all revenue items are being originally put into accounts receivable. So the revenue is being recognized when the invoice is generated, not when the money is paid. All right, and then when the money comes in, it gets applied against the receivable. And so accrual method is recognizing all revenue when the invoice gets paid, and all expenses when the bill gets received, not when the money gets received or the money gets paid, excuse me. And why that's the most purest form of bookkeeping is because it really shows the entire economic picture on the financial statements. So an accrual basis set of financial statements shows the whole picture. But then so if a company's bookkeeping system is being done on the accrual basis as a default, then QuickBooks Online, and other software, like, you can toggle back and forth between generating financial statements that are on the accrual basis and that are on the cash basis. Now, cash basis is more simplified method of bookkeeping. Revenue is recognized when the cash is received, and expenses are recognized when the cash is paid. But the cash basis does not tell you how much revenue you still have in accounts receivable, and how much in expenses you still have in payables. And so, we always strive to, whether we're doing the bookkeeping for clients or the clients are going to do their own bookkeeping, that they should have an accrual basis, bookkeeping set up as the default, and then they can properly toggle back and forth between accrual basis financial statements and cash basis financial statements. With all that being said, several clients, they have accrual basis books, but they run cash basis financial statements from those books, and they prepare their tax return on the cash basis, because who wants to pay tax unless you have to? Because there are certain thresholds where you have to report taxes on the accrual basis, but who wants to pay tax on income they didn't receive yet if they don't have to? I know I don't. So that's why several clients, prepare their taxes on the cash basis, even though their bookkeeping is being done on the accrual basis. So, now, like, what about, so Jeet, like, what about, okay, we talked about AR and invoicing. Now on the other side, like AR and invoices, they're evil twin brother, right? AP and bill pay. Like, what's AP and bill pay like to the brand new amateur business owner out there that has no clue what we're talking about?
I'll just simplify it. So whenever you receive any bills to be paid by you, to your vendors, so basically you are not paying it right now, but we can just record that bill into our QBO system. So you see that outstanding amount to be paid to your vendors, and that's again we name it as accounts payable. And then eventually when you pay it out of your pocket, out of your bank account, you just match that transaction with your AP account. That's it. Like, very simple.
Perfect. And now, okay, now inventory. QuickBooks Online has an inventory tracking feature, and so inventory is for all of the product businesses out there, or all the businesses that have raw material, or e-commerce businesses out there. Inventory is a vital part of their bookkeeping system, and so inventory, when you're purchasing material but you haven't sold it yet, it's going to inventory. And then once you sell it, it goes from inventory, and inventory is an asset. And then inventory, once you sell it, it goes to cost of goods sold. And so what's your 2 cents on inventory, Jeet, and how it relates to the overall bookkeeping system?
Clients just record everything in the cost of goods sold, and eventually they don't end up getting that much income, because it's everything is stashed in the cost of goods sold, but they actually have an inventory, like at the year end they have an inventory, but that amount is recorded in the COGS, and then we don't have an accurate financials. So we just tend to make sure that we just get the details from client that, hey, what's your ending stock, like what's the inventory, and then we just make sure that we have accurate financials ready for the same.
Absolutely. And everyone, Jeet said COGS, right? So COGS, right? That's cost of goods sold. So that's an acronym for, that's very common in our world. And so that's what, if you ever hear people saying COGS, right? Cost of goods sold. So the term bookkeeping, right? What goes into bookkeeping, right? There's data entry, there's reconciling, there's invoicing and accounts receivable, there's bill pay and accounts payable, there's inventory and cost of goods sold, there's payroll. Gee, we didn't talk about payroll. What about payroll? Like how important is payroll? Like talk about synchronizing the bookkeeping in the context of automation and technology. Let's talk about payroll, because there's a lot that goes into the bookkeeping of the proper bookkeeping of payroll. And so, can you unpack that a little bit?
Sure. So for, when we talk about clients at Swartz and Reeder, and when we talk about, again, QuickBooks Online, so ADP and Gusto, and more preferably Gusto. So we have clients like on Gusto, like it's a huge list. Like, we would take days to maybe prepare a list out of it. And the best part with QBO and Gusto is that they both synchronize, and that's the beauty of this whole payroll part. So again, adding to that, we even manage the payroll for our clients. So we just run the payroll from Gusto, and Gusto, the Gusto synchronize it with the QBO, and the all the entries, it's been automated from the Gusto to the QBO account. So that's the beauty when we go into these kind of cloud softwares.
Absolutely, and thank you, Jeet. And payroll You know, how many times have you seen it where, you know, the pay, like the only, like when you're doing the bookkeeping with a new client, for example, and you see like the payroll, like you just see like these debits that come out, and it just says like, you know, payroll taxes or like, you know, net, like, you know, direct deposits and stuff like that. And it's just all getting put into like one account called payroll. You know, it's not so simple, right? There's like there's salaries and wages, right? Salaries and wages of the officers of the company and salaries and wages of all others. Often there are, you know, if there's a cost of goods sold element to the company, you know, the client, the direct labor that's on the payroll, you know, that labor is getting allocated to the direct labor component of cost of goods sold. You know, all sales reps are getting added to a certain part of the income statement. You know, and then there's a component of salaries and wages that's for office and administrative. And then there's, you know, then so the wage expense, the salary and wage expense can be broken down between like, you know, 3 to 5 different, you know, salary and wage expense categories, depending on, you know, the applicable, you know, type of employee that person is. Then there's payroll tax expense. All right. What are the 4 components of payroll tax expense, right? Everyone, there is the employer portion of Social Security. There's the employer portion of Medicare. And then there is the federal unemployment taxes, and then there is the state unemployment taxes, and then the 5th component is kind of like the wild card. It's the other miscellaneous employer taxes that depend on which state that you're in. And so those items are all what are known as payroll tax expense. They are because they are the payroll taxes that the employer is paying to the respective governments in addition to the salaries to the employees. And so that needs to be broken out as a separate line item from salary and wages, and as a separate expense item on the income statement, because employer payroll tax expense is not coming out of the employee's paychecks. It's not federal or state withholding. It's not the employee portion of Social Security and Medicare. All of those withholdings that we just mentioned there, right? Federal and state withholding, employee portion of Social Security and Medicare. Those are baked into the salary and wage expense on the income statement, because those are coming out of the employee's paycheck before they get their net check. But then there are employer payroll taxes that are not coming out of the employee's pocket. They're additional coming out of the employer's pocket in addition to the salary, right? And so you know, the Social Security employer portion, Medicare employer portion, federal unemployment, state unemployment taxes, plus any other miscellaneous state employer payroll taxes that may be applicable that vary amongst all the different states. So everyone, you know, you're like when someone says bookkeeping, it's so easy just to just just kind of like, you know, throw around that term loosely, like it's something that is so easy, right? But it's amazing how many, like, you know, there are so many things that go into bookkeeping, right? Like we've talked about it. There's data entry, reconciling, invoicing and AR, bill pay and AP, inventory, payroll, and all of the nuances that go into all those specific things. And when you work with us at Swartz and Reeder Advisors, before we do anything in regards to having a conversation about who's going to do the ongoing bookkeeping, we work with our clients to make sure that their bookkeeping system, their accounting, bookkeeping, internal control for their company is set up properly in all aspects, and it's fully optimized. And that is what it's all about. Like we said, we can't guarantee that, you know, having a solid bookkeeping system is going to guarantee your success in business, but it's going to definitely play a role in increasing your chance of success as a business owner. So, Jeet, I think we covered it all. Did we miss anything with bookkeeping, or did we give people a good breakdown of all that goes into the bookkeeping process?
I think yes, we did covered everything. Maybe we can even talk about like assets, loan payable, and like amortization. So that could be a point which we can discuss, because what I have observed, that people buy vehicles for their business purpose, but and then again they get like amortization, like loan as well for the same, but eventually don't end up like adding those assets like properly into the balance sheet item, and it's a mess. So maybe if you want to talk about that, we can talk to that.
That is going to be the next episode. That's going to be, episode 2 of the Swartz and Reeder Advisors, all things bookkeeping episodes. This is like bookkeeping is like a series of episodes, right? So let's unpack all of that on the next bookkeeping specific episode of Swartz and Reeder Advisors YouTube channel. So Jeet, thank you so much for being here with me today. And to you all, thank you so much for listening. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button at the bottom and stay tuned. A lot more content coming your way from us. I'm Michael Reeder of Swartz and Reeder Advisors. Thank you so much, everyone. Have a great rest of the day, great rest of the week. Keep crushing it. Jeet, thank you. Take care.
Yep. Thanks, Mike.